Jimmy Burrow and Jimmy Chase at the Bengals practice. We'll talk about this coming up next.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
Need your top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man.
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. He is Zim. I am Ace. Shout out to the Houday Nation. Zim, how you feeling today, man? There's a lot of news that we get to go over, but just in general, how you feeling?
Man, I'm really happy. I'm blessed. I feel like we're doing what we love to do, man. Talking Bengals, we back. It feels good. OTAs. I see the crowd. Everybody wants to know what's going on. I'm really excited about like what we got coming up as a fan base. Like, you know, we done weathered some storms. So here we go. We got one of our best teams of all time, I think, coming up. So let's see how they stack up. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But outside of that, I just drank a magnificent smoothie. This is banana and strawberry mix, a little bit of pineapple. Whoever made that, shout out to Chef's Kiss. Amazing smoothie. Life is great. Here I am. We're here, Ace. We're back.
We're back. And speaking of back, the Bengals were back for phase 3 of OTAs this week. And with that, we saw some of the rookies in the secondary. So we're definitely going to talk about that. That definitely made some waves on Twitter. And then we'll also talk about things that are more important than the game of football, giving back to the community. Obviously, there's been a lot of community events lately. We'll cover those as well. And then Chase Young, he's on the block. What are we doing, Zim? I know a lot of people wanted him over Burrow a few years ago. We'll get into all of these topics coming up next. All right. The rookies that were drafted in the Bengals' recent draft. DJ Turner, Little Jordan Battle. Something was very interesting today. They took reps with the first team. They ain't waste no time, Zimmy. They threw them boys out there. A lot of people been talking on Twitter Spaces. Could Jordan Battle potentially be in a battle with Nick Scott? You know, he has the potential to take that position. It looks like he's in the mix. DJ Turner, obviously there's an injury to Chido, but I think a lot of people expected Sidney Jones to kind of be the starter there, right? Nah, they're throwing DJ to Burner Turner. Young Drago was out there getting snaps. How do you feel about these guys getting reps immediately where some people thought, you know, a DJ Turner, this is a guy like a couple years away from being a starter?
I mean, I think we've always said all this time we got to make sure that they're cautious with Awuzie. So I think the Turner thing, you know, that's a real thing. I actually was having a conversation with somebody in Spaces. It might have been Johnny or somebody, and they were like, bro, like, I think Sidney Jones might not make the roster. They were like talking about Allen George, talking about like other guys that are getting first team reps or whatever, and talking about like how he came here when he was on the decline. Then he was injured, and he didn't really have like, so it was like, bro, that might be. And to me, I looked at that like the Eli Apple replacement almost, like a low-level Eli Apple replacement. But
Right.
DJ Turner, I mean, that's a high-round pick, bro. Second round? You know, like, go look at the Chiefs. Like, Brian Cook is a second-round guy. That's their starting safety this year. So it's like, I believe in Turner. I thought, like, him coming out of the draft, we would come in space. I'd be like, bro, we're not talking about him enough. His man-to-man coverage in the NCAA was like at the top. I think the best at one point, running a 4.22. So I think he has the skills. He's capable of doing it. I thought he was like super disciplined. I will say this about the Nick Scott one with Battle been in there. I was told this by a player on the team, and then also I feel like he talked to Trags about this. He was saying that he had a shoulder injury or whatever, and they wanted to be precautious with what they were doing with that. And I think that's why you're seeing Battle out there with the ones or whatever. Because if you go watch Mike Petraglia's interview with him, he's like, yeah, you know, I got to be smart about it. The shoulder thing, I'm just so excited to be out there. So I think that was just kind of like a staff thing saying, hey, look, bro, we just got out here. That's just me somewhat speculating, but somewhat getting information from like people that I know like with the team. So I wouldn't read into that one that much.
Yeah, I think you are right about that. I do remember hearing Nick Scott say that he did have the shoulder thing. That was kind of something that I hadn't really heard about, but he is a guy that's new to the team. So, making sure that they do not rush him back is definitely something. But here's the thing. Why isn't Tyson Anderson out there? Like, if Tyson Anderson's been here for longer than Jordan Battle, but it wasn't Tyson Anderson out there getting the snaps opposite Dax Hill. It was Jordan Battle. So to me, maybe it speaks to his IQ. Maybe Jordan Battle has got the IQ down. But I do think, like you said, the Nick Scott thing is probably injury related. But I'm not gonna lie, like he was on the podcast with Mike Hilton and Kelsey Conway last week, and he said something interesting. He was kind of talking about how he only at first kind of saw him as a guy that would really contribute on special teams. He didn't really see himself as a starter. And then he kind of got Nick Scott. Nick Scott did. And he kind of got those aspirations from Raheem Morris saying like, hey, you're a little too athletic to just be on special teams. But it almost kind of seemed like I'm not saying he doesn't want to start, but it seemed like if he was someone to lose out and play special teams, he wouldn't be like super upset about it. So I'm not saying that means he's going to roll over and stuff like that. But you know how some guys are like, I'm not playing special teams. I feel like he was kind of built with a little bit of a different mode, being a 7th round guy, priding himself on special teams as a way for him to make the roster. It's a little different. It's also kind of like similar to Michael Thomas, like the old vet who was able to play, but like he has no problem playing special teams. I'm not saying that to say he's just going to give it up to Jordan Battle. But I think if it is a situation where he does end up like being unseated or something like that, I don't think it's going to be a bunch of tension in the locker room.
Yeah, I thought he kind of little bro Battle a little bit though in the interview. You ain't catch that? He was like, yeah, I mean like Battle, like he might construct, whether he's on special teams or whatever. He wasn't. I don't know. I feel like he's ready to. I think he thinks that he's starting based off of what he was saying in Trags.
Yeah, for
kind of saying like, Battle. He stepped in a little bit, and like whether he contributes to special teams, like I don't know. He kind of threw that out there a little bit. So we'll see how that goes, though. I'm confident in both of them. I think Battle in a lot of different. What's so crazy? A lot of different other opposition. Like when I'm on Twitter and stuff, and I read like the comments. It's so many people that's like, bro, y'all got to steal off a Battle. There's a lot of teams I think that were looking at safety a lot more than us that were really, really keying in on Battle. And I think I'm like, as we're moving along, I think we're seeing like a lot of teams like, dang, bro, like that's a good move. And I think we knew that when we got him. I think it just caught Houday off guard a little bit because you're like, man, I got Nick Scott, whatever. And then, like you said, Tyson Anderson. So, hey, the more the merrier.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit of a DJ Turner. That's going to be super interesting, bro. Like this to me seems like the exact opposite of what they kind of did with CTB and Dax Hill last year, where they kind of groomed them along. They kind of waited until they kind of released them out there. Now, obviously, this is only OTAs. This isn't real training camp. This isn't real, preseason football. So, they probably are just trying to get those guys into an area where they know the playbook, they know the defense and stuff like that. There's some other stuff going on, though, about the offensive line. There's some unorthodox drills going on. Frank Pollock shifting things to the offensive line. I think they had some soccer balls out there. Do you think that that's something that's going to help the offensive line? I'm not an offensive line expert myself, so I would defer to Willie Anderson. But what did you take from this? I know I sent this to the chat earlier. I was like, what is this? What is this to you?
To me, I just feel like it's like working on your balance and making sure you're like closing off on like your sets.
Yeah. Like
with your feet, like just being able to make sure your feet is matching up with the proportion of like your balance and your weight. Mm-hmm. How that translates to a 300-pound man pushing you at the same time, I don't know. Like, I feel like they needed a drill where like somebody's like hitting them while they're doing that same thing, because I see them like concentrating and looking down at their feet and stuff, when you're playing the game of football, you don't have that opportunity to look down and see like, oh, am I kicking the soccer ball? So like
Right.
I'm not an expert either, but I just think it's just dealing with your balance, making sure your footwork's on point.
I think you're right about that because, my son, he plays basketball and I was looking up things. I actually asked Chat GPT, what are some of the things that I can help train him with to kind of improve his performance. And they talked about motor skills. They talked about balance. They talked about playing other sports outside of basketball. Interestingly enough, soccer and stuff like that. So that probably is something that could help them with their balance, their motor skills, hand-eye coordination. You never know what it is. So I think that, like you said, it could be something to really hone in on that. But also shifting to the offensive side, Burrow in the passing game was getting in a lot of work in this session. What's stopping this team from being the best passing offense in the NFL?
Nothing, just health. They just need to be healthy. I put out a tweet earlier this week, and I was just saying Jamar Chase is still the youngest wide receiver on the Cincinnati Bengals, even after the draft. I was just talking to people about just think about this 10-game win streak. Like, if that would have happened to, like, another team, I'm not trying to be, like, play this victim role, but if another team would have had a 10-game win streak, I don't even really think this would be a conversation right now. I think everybody would look at them and say, I just hate, like, I read into what people say, like the pundits and the big higher ups and stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, I think the Bengals got the tools to hang with the Chiefs and the Bills and all this. And I'm like, bro, we just stomped the Bills. And then, when you talk about the Chiefs, I'm sorry. I know what we lost the main game, and we could analyze that all day, but that December 4th game, it's not the playoffs, but it's both teams pretty healthy. Pretty much everybody's there. And I never felt for a second that the Bengals didn't have a stranglehold on that game. It was 14-3, and Cam Taylor-Britt drops a interception. They had to convert fourth downs. Tyler Boyd dropped touchdown. There's so much meat left on the bone in that game with a healthy offensive line that got no sacks and no pressures on Burrow. Like I'm like, okay, why are you identifying that game? Those are the world champions. And the Bengals look really damn good in that game. And I might just be like, that might be a form of like coping or whatever. I don't know. But that's the matchup that I look at. And I just say, I think we got the tools to beat anybody just off of that alone. And that's how I feel about it. If they stay healthy, bro, this is one of them seasons I'm not paying attention to other moves as much. I'm kind of paying attention to a lot of NFCs. I've been watching a lot of Seahawks stuff, a lot of Lions stuff. Because just on the AFC side, I just feel like it's a lot of hope. It's a lot of people trying to do, like telling you that their 29-year-old wide receiver is Jamar Chase level, or telling you a quarterback that has never done what Joe Burrow's done. Like, yeah, he's better than, like, it's a lot of, and I'm tired of falling victim to like those conversations when I'm like, I've seen my team do it 2 years in a row, go this far, and each time it was just health.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the two things have really been health, and I think the offensive line. Those are the only things that have stopped the Bengals from being the top passing attack in the NFL. Because I think if you just literally ask anyone, even a casual fan, they're going to tell you like the best weapons and the best offense is in Cincinnati. If you're just going by off the paper, looking at it, I think if they're able to do that, if they're able to remain healthy, if they're able to keep the line intact, sky is the limit for this team. I mean, this is year 3. I kind of talked about it on last week's show. Year 3 was 2015 for AJ Green and those guys, right? That was the 3rd year for Mohamed Sanu and for, I believe, Marvin Jones, for them to get it together. AJ was already that guy. So you're going to have all 3 of your guys that really have already done it in the league come together with their 3rd year in this offense with Joe Burrow. Like, bro, it's about to get nasty. It's about to get nasty. So I think that they will, like you said, if they're healthy or if anything else happens with that offensive line, they should be fine. The one thing that's crazy, and I don't want to sidetrack too much, you kind of talked about.
Did you notice you said it's about to get nasty? Ryan's eyes lit up. He was like, "Oh, we're about to get nasty." Look at Ryan. Look at him. Go ahead.
Yeah,
bro.
It's about to get nasty. But you brought up Buffalo, and for some reason this came to mind because obviously they went out and they signed a defensive lineman. You kind of touched on it. You were like, "What about D-Hop?" I seem to remember a GM about a year ago, from Buffalo saying, "Oh, we never had a chance to get a Jamar Chase because we didn't suck enough. We weren't picking in the top 10. You can't just get a Jamar Chase." Well, guess what? He's not Jamar Chase, but DeAndre Hopkins is a pretty damn good receiver, and you're not doing anything right now to really make that happen. So when it comes to the Bengals just being a product of, oh, they had top 5 draft picks, that's not really what it was, because T. Higgins was a second-round draft pick. Tyler Boyd was a second-round draft pick. We just have a front office that is well and more than capable of putting talent together. This isn't new. We've been doing this for decades. The Bengals have always had weapons. AJ Green was quoted as saying that. We've always had weapons no matter what. So shout out to him. I wonder why you don't have a better receiver than Gabe Davis when you're talking about our team only having top 5 picks. I just wanted to get that in real quick.
All 31 teams had a chance to draft T. Higgins. All 31 teams had a chance to draft Tyler Boyd. I asked the Ravens op the other day. He said, bro, I mean, they didn't go get free agents. I said, bro, the Bengals got the number 1 wide receiving core in the National Football League. How many of those are free agents? Crickets.
Hey, we also, Sova just hit us with another nugget here. A couple of unnamed GMs came out last week and said DeAndre Hopkins today isn't the D-Hop he used to be. He cannot separate. That's very interesting, because when this first happened, it seemed like he had a whole bunch of options out there. Now it seems like it's dwindling down to just really a few teams that are looking for his services, which is very interesting from that aspect. Where do you think D-Hop's going to? I know this isn't on the script, but where do you think he's going at this point? I know a few weeks ago we had a different kind of idea.
Is it fear that I feel like he might go to the Browns, or is that like legit? See, I don't follow it as close. I just know money wise, Cowboys got the most money, and to me that makes sense. I think the Eagles got the money too, and I think on that side, to me, is where I want him to go. So I'm not even thinking about it. But the money makes sense over there on it. Now, if he's getting money from the Cardinals and that's a part of the equation, I could see some of these AFC teams. The Chiefs, I just think that they got to work on extending Chris Jones, and I think that will free up some money for them. But
for sure,
it's some teams that I think he could help for sure. Like, to me, yeah, he might not separate like he used to, but I think like I was talking about the December game, a lot of it is just the Bengals wide receivers are going to make really big plays at really big moments. And that's how I look at, like, even like the Browns. Amari Cooper is a good receiver, but he's not making big play, D-hop, possession, third down, game on the line plays. That's part of the reason why he got to the Browns. So I think he could help out a lot of those teams, if I'm being honest, and I think it betters their chances. Vegas has the odds on the Ravens and the Browns now at 9.5, where they both were at 8.5 before the draft. So they're now saying that these are really good teams. You give them a D-hop. You know what I'm saying?
Think Mary Kay Cabot was name dropping him as a possibility there. I think he's still a solid receiver. I just don't know. You kind of mentioned the Chris Jones thing with Kansas City. Don't forget too, and I almost forgot this, a couple weeks ago, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna redo Mahomes' contract again before the season to make him the highest paid as well. So maybe that's one of the reasons that they miss out on him. But let's talk about the youth, man.
It's a lot of guys still out here, bro.
It is. It's a lot of guys.
Like Sue, like there's Jarvis Landry.
They're still out there.
Bro, Jarvis Landry. There's so many wide receivers still. It's a lot of guys. So, like, the league is being really patient, and they are really, like, just making sure they're squeezing all the money out of these dudes.
For sure. But let's talk about the youth camp. Your man Joe Mixon was out there with Uno. Had a nice little clip that you put on your Twitter at Zimhude. Let's cue that up real quick. Pretty dope. Makes the move on this youngster right here. Mosses him real quick. Hits him with the somersault flip. Then hits the gritty on him. It was a little nasty.
That flip had some good tuck on it. You know what's so crazy? I never thought that this video would, like, get a lot of views like it did. But just a little bit of the backstory. The kid runs the route first, and he gets the catch. He does a backflip. So then Jamar says, nah, line it back up. And so then that's Jamar coming back on him. I just cut it down, like, just to show that part, because I know people's attention, isn't that crazy on the internet sometimes. But
Right.
if I would have posted maybe the whole clip, I know everybody was like interested in like, but it's
Nah,
crazy.
now that we know the whole clip, that
'Cause
gives
that
me
fl-
the vibes of the Kansas City game. Remember that the guy caught or deflected the pass and hit him with the gritty, and then Uno comes back, catches the touchdown, hits him with the gritty. Silva wants to know, did he have to do little man like that? Did he have to moss him like that? I think I think he had to teach him a lesson though. If what happened, what you're saying happened before that, I think he had to humble him a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy that on the first part of it he does that, and then like come on, like bro, did he have to do him like that? I think it creates a great villain story for that kid where he comes back. But like, yeah, the kid gets him the first time, so this is the first clip.
Okay,
Where Jamar isn't
Gets
going
him with
full.
the post. Okay,
But check him out though. Check him out with the flip though. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube.
Hit him with the flip.
So that Joe Mixon and all them are hyping it up. So now Jamar looking like, hold up, I know y'all not about to hype this kid up doing this flip on me. And so he talks to him, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how old this kid is, but crazy thing is, he gets mossed on this. But look at him, Isaac. Look at him come back to the football though.
Yeah,
like that's the part that people are not talking about. It's like, okay, when he saw Jamar's hands, just like somebody taught him something, because as soon as he saw that, he immediately looked back for the football, and that's something they teach you like early on as a corner. So shout out to that kid. He's doing work. He got some speed on him too.
We're gonna have to follow this kid, man. He probably is gonna be a Cincinnati legend if he's from the city, man. So yeah, I thought it was a dope moment, man, because it's, to me, Uno is kind of the leader of the youth. I think all of them are hitting the gritty and everything. I was at my son's game yesterday. A kid hit a shot. First thing he does when he goes back down the court is he hits the gritty. So, I think it's dope. I honestly feel like Uno could really be the face of the league. Like, it's almost hitting Odell Beckham Jr. like levels when he first came into the league, did the catch and everything. I think the way Jamar Chase has just established himself as a superstar, I think that he easily could be the face of the future. And I don't know a kid out there that doesn't know Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. All of them know both of those guys. They might not be able to name, 5 football players, but they can definitely name Uno as one of them. So keeping it with the community, Joe Burrow spoke at his golf charity event. Joe Burrow, I mean, this is the thing that we love about Shiesty is the way that he's able to do things with raising money and raising awareness. You got the mental health stuff that he's pulling up. You got him feeding the people and the kids and everything. You can't be mad about that at all. I mean, this dude is much more than just a great football player, right? And he kind of spoke, and he's also always giving these great speeches. We think about the Heisman speech, right? That was supposed to be mostly about football. He made that about the city of Athens and, bringing attention to that. And he continues to do that. No matter how many Cartiers he puts on, no matter how many chains he wears, when people try to hate, he's still a man of the people, and he's still out there doing it. He's got the yays on right now. And he said that everybody has a responsibility to do good. He's even got shirts for that. So definitely be sure to check out those shirts. Make sure you purchase them. But I think it's just dope that Joe is willing to use his power to provide a platform to help people. I think, it started out with just hunger. Now he's helping with mental health and stuff like that. I think it's just dope, bro. I know that was something that really struck you, pause, when in 2020, when we were talking about getting a quarterback. I know when you watched his speech, you were like, this dude he's more than an athlete.
He's genuine, bro. He's like a person I feel like all walks of life can kind of trust, because kind of like the background, the story, and everything like that. I just think I think he's just a genuine person, and people like to identify with people that they can relate to. Like, right. You see some rich snobby, like whatever. There's a small portion of America that can kind of identify with it. I think Burrow kind of represents like a lot of people that didn't come from like the higher up level in society or whatever, and he made it to the Cartiers and all that stuff like that. And I seen a tweet somebody was talking about this. Might be just a little off subject, Remember how the kid in this unfortunate Greg Newsome got robbed in Cleveland like yesterday or something like that.
Yeah,
I seen a dude like the most hood dude I've ever seen in Cincy. He like tweeted, he said Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase will never get robbed around here, bro. Like I just feel like people just really be identifying with like the vibe and everything like that. And I just think that he's super genuine. Like even in this speech that he gave on there, I thought it was dope. He was just like, man, look, I know we're here like eating food and stuff like that, but like this is a real thing. Like make sure mentally everybody's okay. Check on your loved ones. And people need to hear messages like that from people, that I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow didn't want to just be famous, but people listen to famous people. People listen to people with a lot of followers. And I think Joe Burrow's smart enough to know that.
Yeah, I'm just glad to call him our quarterback, man. Not only does he do a great job on the field, he does a great job off the field. And that was one of the reasons that people loved the former quarterback that we had, Andy Dalton. He's definitely picking up and carrying that torch and taking it to another level as well with what he's doing. Let's get back to football. Chase Young, 2020. You remember when we first started our podcast, a lot of people said that we weren't fans because we wanted Joe Burrow. A lot of people said take Chase Young, keep Andy Dalton, or go and get a quarterback later. Chase Young has been made available. It's kind of dropped. It's kind of been an open secret that they may entertain moving on from him. Obviously, they didn't exercise the fifth-year option. What would you be willing to trade for Chase Young?
Me personally, I would give up Jonah Williams and a pick, right?
Facts.
And a lot of people think that you see a lot of these guys get trade for way less. So that's a thing too. So I don't know, man. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, like I'm with you on the Jonah Williams thing. I would definitely give you Jonah Williams and a pick for him.
What round pick though?
I mean, if I'm them, you would have to. So Jonah's a first round pick. You probably give them Jonah in a third. I think that because you're taking a risk that you could, pretty much lose. Actually, I would say a fourth, just because you're taking a risk that he could literally walk out after this year and be a free agent and go and sign a huge contract somewhere.
They both can.
Yeah, they both could do that. So like,
it's a direct swap, bro. Like in the Commanders need a tackle. Leno and Wiley, Jonah. There's an argument. we could get some of the people that have been Jonah lovers online. We could get them to show them the analytics or whatever on it, and there's a good argument that Jonah is a lot better than them two dudes too. Outside of the sacks, that's a better option for them, bro.
If we didn't have Myles Murphy already, I think that you offer a higher pick because you could probably do a thing where you're like, let me go ahead and get him and extend him early on. But yeah, I definitely still give up a pick for. I mean, you can never have too many edge rushers. So for me, I'm with you. It would probably be Jonah and a pick. Bro.
What's the one thing that I've been saying all this time that the Bengals need is a veteran like 3-tech. Yep. Like Chase Young could kick inside, and I mean the rotation that you have would. I mean, bro, that's a super. Like they're on one end. There's people that say, bro, he's a bust, and they're super extreme with it. But the other end of it that I want people to understand is that if you added him next to Myles Murphy, Trey Hendrickson, Joseph Osai, and all that, that is one of the greatest pass rushes I've ever seen. If your fifth man is like rotate, like you would do whatever you could stand Chase Young up if you want to and drop him in the coverage because you got enough edge. Like you could do so much with him on this defensive line. And I look at the opportunity that you have. And the downside is this: it's a complete gamble. It's a complete crapshoot. But it's all about like making sure that you keep them healthy throughout the season. Make sure that you ramp them up correctly with a good staff that's going to make sure his health is on point. And let's say it doesn't go like what you think. I think as long as he came in and did whatever he wanted to do, say he had like 3 sacks, I think he would be more in favor of the staff, and you might see them offering him a low-level contract, right? That's on the downside. On the good side is you win a Super Bowl, and yeah, he probably goes and gets a bag somewhere, but you got a ring. And you'd be like, I just gave up like a fourth or whatever. Like
it would be like the Von Miller trade, like how the Rams went and got Von Miller. You know, he ends up leaving and goes somewhere, but they got the ring, so that's all that matters.
Bro, it's a complete crapshoot. I'm not gonna hold you. Like it is risky based off of his injury history. I feel like Jonah is a little risk. I think Jonah's less of a risk to me. Like I think I know what I got from him. I don't count on him.
But would you say
like,
that?
I don't know.
But wouldn't you say that if we're just going based off of their careers, Chase Young has kind of showed more in his career than Jonah has? Like Chase Young, defensive rookie of the year.
But Chase Young had that catastrophic, like I feel like that injury. Some people get like an injury like that, and they're never really the same like that. And I feel like he's got a bit of that in him, like where he's not the same, but he's so much more athletic than the average man that you're like, okay, like you know what I'm saying? Like you remember when Derrick Rose first came back and had quality minutes? You're like, even Derrick Rose is 75%. Is better than like half the league. Like, that's what and then the other thing is you got contracts coming up that say he has a solid year and gets like 6 sacks or something like that. You might say, man, I will move on, you know, from a potential Trey Hendrickson 20 mil or whatever. Go with this guy that, you know, is solid, been putting his head down, going to work, and then we go to draft and go get another guy. Like, I think it gives you like a bit of a contingency plan. If he doesn't play as well, if he goes crazy and lights the world on fire, like I'm saying, bro, like that's one of the greatest defensive lines of all time. Like, I wish I could talk to the Bengals about it. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. The cap relief, the 12.6 from Jonah Williams, that's all the books. You come and take his, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy to me. Like, it is a gamble though.
I don't know if people would consider that a pipe dream or not, but that brings us to our next topic. What was one legitimate offseason move that you wish the Bengals would have made? I think we're probably going to say the same one. Dalton Risner. I think if they were to just add him now, I think that just makes the offensive line better. The interior questions are kind of going there. For you, would it be Risner? Would it be drafting a tight end? Would it be re-signing Von Bell? Would it be a 3-tech? What would it have been? Because I know you wanted your boy that was the 3-tech.
That's what I was about to say. That's the Irv one saved me because before that I thought Foster Moreau is so perfect for what I think the Bengals need to do. So unfortunate incident. I think he'll be fine. It looks like everything's good with him. So shout out to him. But Morgan Fox is still a guy that I know it's like not a household name, but Matt Silva with the craziest comment of the night right there. I don't know, Ryan. All right, but Morgan Fox does give them like a veteran 3-tech presence that I don't think that the Bengals have as a contingency plan to Zach Carter. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I would have liked. I thought the Foster Moreau one. I'm happy with Irv Smith. So the Risner one, it kind of makes me feel a little funny that nobody else is like. Why do you think that Risner isn't gone? Like, is he waiting for a starting gig? Like, what is he doing?
Maybe it's a health thing. Like, maybe there's something that we don't know about with them. So maybe he's considering retirement. Who knows at this point? But it just seems really weird that he's just still out there. For sure. I agree with you. I think one of those would have been a move to make. I know our boy Mon from the Bengals Pulse says that he wished that we would have re-signed Von Bell. I could have seen that as well.
Really? Okay.
But speaking of legitimate, let's go to a place with some legitimate food. Midwest Best Barbecue just was out there with Willie Anderson providing food at that camp. Those kids seemed like it was pretty good to them. So let's get into these legitimate wings and barbecue with Midwest Best Barbecue.
Welcome to Midwest Fest, home of the G-Funk and Uno Wings. It started out very simple. When you can't find something that you like, you make it yourself. That small dissatisfaction has turned into our family business. Finding a good barbecue sauce without artificial smoke was almost impossible. So my husband, Tim, decided to create his own. Simply Sweet was born in our home kitchen. And
Yeah, we had some technical
Uno
difficulties,
wings.
but
Uno
what you guys
wings.
know is that
Uno
they
wings.
went ahead and created their own barbecue sauce, the smokeless or the smokeless artificial. They didn't want any of that. They wanted the real deal. That's what they have at Midwest Best Barbecue. You can get your Uno wings, you can get your Grippo wings, you can get your barbecue. It's amazing. You can get the mac and cheese, which they had. They also do catering as well. So if you have any events that you want to get done, Midwest Best Barbecue will get you straightened out there. They've won so many awards. Yelp, don't just take our word for it. Yelp, they were number one for barbecue in the state of Ohio. Visit them at 669 Justice Court. Tell them Ace and Zim sent you. It's actually Tim's birthday, the owner, Tim Worsham. So happy birthday to Tim. Shout out to him. The best way that you can do it is go out there, let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Hit up Midwest Best Barbecue. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but I will tell you what is technical. Those wings get technical when I'm in there and I'm getting some Midwest Best Barbecue. I know Greg Luther gets technical because he's been there. It seems like Greg Luther is there once a week. So check them out, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. There's some nicknames.
I feel like Greg has like a cot or like a bed in the back in the kitchen or something like that. Because I don't think there's a day that's gone by where Greg hasn't been at Midwest Best Barbecue. I'm dead serious.
I'm jealous, Greg.
Every day he'd be like, bro, here we are. We posted back up. I'm like, bro, Greg got a different type of membership over there. I swear. Shout out to Big Savage Greg.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Big Savage Greg. But that is a cool nickname for Greg. We got to come up with a nickname for Brad Robbins, man. What's your nickname for Brad Robbins?
Mr. Monopoly Piece.
Mr. Monopoly Piece.
Don't he look like the Monopoly man?
Yeah, I mean he does. He does.
They were calling him what's the villain from Dr. Robotic? Yeah, they were calling him. So like, I don't know. As long as he doesn't punt the ball in the middle of the field when the game's on the line with a crappy hang time, then he's all good with me. You can call it. I feel
like everybody's
Mr. Robbins.
Nicknames now. Are we gonna call anybody their actual name anymore? I think it's just gonna be crazy.
We just gonna be like, good punt, Brad.
Good punt, B-Rad. Hey, that's what I was thinking, Ken. B-Rad, Malibu's most wanted style. Don't be hating. Don't be hating.
I'm with you, bro. I don't think he needs a nickname. I'll be like, man, hey, Robbins is punting well today.
Yeah.
All right. Go Brad.
He's the Robertson. Batman Robbins.
Jerry says Rockin' Robbins.
Rockin' Robbins? I don't know, man. I don't know how many nicknames we can come up with. But speaking of just being around the fans of Cincy, sponsor of the show, they do a great job putting on events for fans like yourself. You get to go to travel to all of the games. You get your hotel paid for, your travel paid for, your flight to the game. You get a wonderful spread before the game. You get to meet like Bengals fans. You'll all be staying in the same hotel, partying at the same tailgate, attending the same game. They're going to the West Coast, trip to San Francisco. Like I said, you're going to get everything paid for. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to go to 4 or 5 different websites. You just go to fansofcincy.com, put your deposit down today. You don't even have to think about it. You'll just say, yep, I got it reserved. I put my little quick deposit down, and you can book it for your entire family. Go to fansofcincy.com. Check them out. They do great things. Me and Zim have worked with them. We've been to certain games with them before. I know Zim and myself went to the Saints game last year. I also pulled up on them at the Tampa game last year. Showed me a lot of love. A lot of Bengals fans were there. Definitely don't miss out on Fans of Cincy. So check them out at fansofcincy.com. And even if you're not traveling to the game, say you're going to pull up like I did in Tampa since I live in Florida, you can also buy tailgate tickets. So if you're looking for a nice meal, some drinks and all of that before the game, definitely be sure to hit up fansofcincy.com. Well, Zim, that is going to bring us to the end of our show. As you guys know, the show is every Tuesday. But before we get out of here, was there anything you wanted to say?
Two different things. First thing, question for you: if we get Chase Young and Jonah Williams across your screen, what are you going to do?
Oh, I'm going crazy, bro. I might go live. It's definitely going to be a space. It's definitely going to be a
Hey,
space.
bro, if Chase Young comes to the Bengals, 1%. I don't want to get nobody hopes.
Now, I will say
bro,
I don't know if it happens via trade, but I think it has a very good chance of happening as him as a free agent, because him and Joe are like, it seemed like they are like this, and you got a lot of Ohio State connections. It wouldn't surprise me, like, if he were to come here on, let's say, like a 1-year deal or something like that, just to try to win a ship with Joe and see how things would go. Because, I mean, we already know how he feels about Joe. We saw that. Like, after the injury happened and stuff like that, Chase Young was one of the first guys to come over to him and dap him up. So, I mean, I think it's a really good chance of that happening, bro. It might not be a trade, but I think even if it's not a trade,
that would just go crazy though. Like if because like, you know, like we're trained as Bengals fans like throughout all these years to just, you know, you're not going to get that. Like, can you imagine? Like if for once you just saw and that just went across the screen and Chase Young to the Bengals, like.
And if he has a say on where he's going, I would think the Bengals would be on this list, bro.
I honestly feel like the teams that have like cap space or whatever, like they have enough ammo. Like the one thing that I'm saying, like they have to, the structure of Burrow and all these other things, it is crazy. And I know I sound like, you know, like a bit of a crazy man, like even exploring it, but it just makes me so happy just thinking about like, wouldn't that be like a full circle moment? We started out the show where you're talking about like what we went through with the whole Chase Young versus Burrow thing, and then to have him on a team, like
that
that's
would be
insane.
An everybody wins moment.
Shoot, I mean, if the Bengals went and picked up Ndamukong Suh right now, I would probably go crazy though. I just think that they're like one person away from just being like a really dominant defensive line, bro. And I don't think people are really paying attention to that function of the team. And I think the NFL is like that. You're watching teams win championships with their defensive line, like that Eagles team from before, the Broncos that did it to Cam Newton, the Bucks that did it to the Chiefs. Like these are defensive lines that take over games. And I'm just like, bro, you got cap space and you really only like one guy away, like the bottom of the depth is Cam Sample, who I don't mind. But imagine if Cam Sample is like Ndamukong Suh, Chase Young. Like that would be insane, bro. Insane. Okay. I just want to say that. And then also I wanted to say this. Next week, same time, we're going to have Yoshi on here live on Cincinnati Pod. So appreciate y'all sticking it out. I know a lot of people ran off, but you got to go tell them like, hey, look, Yoshi going to be on here next week. Cincinnati Pod Tuesday, same time as always.
Yes, Sirski.
Yes, Sirski. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Awuzie, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow. Exciting time to be a Bengals
fan. How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah.
Shock the world.